Welcome back to another episode of the English Hour. I'm your host, Jacob, and today we're diving into something that affects every one of us: purpose. What are we really here for, and how do we find meaning in our lives?
That's such a powerful topic, Jacob. I think everyone, at some point, asks themselves, what am I doing with my life? Or, is this all there is? It's that existential nudge we get when routine starts to feel empty.
Exactly. And it hits hard when you've followed all the rules: school, career, family, and still feel like something's missing. It's like ticking all the boxes but not feeling fulfilled.
Yes, and I think a lot of people confuse success with purpose. You can be wildly successful by society's standards, but still feel hollow if you're not aligned with what truly lights you up.
That's so true. So let's unpack that. How do we even begin identifying our purpose? What if someone listening right now feels lost?
Great question. I'd say start by noticing what energizes you versus what drains you. What topics make you light up in conversations? What activities make you forget about time?
So purpose isn't just one grand mission, but maybe small signals that guide us, right?
Exactly. It's rarely one big aha moment. It's more like a breadcrumb trail made of curiosity, joy, and even pain. Sometimes your purpose is hidden in the things that hurt the most. Because that's where you're meant to help others.
Wow, that's deep. I never thought of pain as a compass. Can you give an example?
Sure. Take someone who grew up in a chaotic home. They might become a therapist or life coach because they deeply understand emotional pain and want to help others find peace.
That makes sense. So our wounds can actually shape our wisdom?
Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of it. Nothing is wasted, not even the dark stuff.
I love that. But what would you say to someone who feels stuck in a job they hate, bills to pay, responsibilities? How can they chase purpose when life feels so heavy?
First, I'd say your purpose doesn't require you to quit everything and run off to Bali. It often starts right where you are. Maybe it's being more present with your kids, starting a blog at night, volunteering on weekends, small acts that align with your values.
So you're saying purpose doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It can be quiet but meaningful.
Yes. Purpose isn't always about being seen by others. Sometimes it's about how you show up for yourself and the people around you. Quiet impact is still impact.
That's such an important reminder. We're so used to equating purpose with fame or visibility.
Social media definitely adds to that pressure. Everyone's showcasing their highlight reels and calling it purpose. But real meaning often grows behind the scenes.
I've noticed that too. People say, find your passion and monetize it, but sometimes that kills the joy. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. Not everything you're passionate about has to become your job. Some things are sacred and are meant to be enjoyed, not monetized.
That's refreshing to hear. So, how can we tell if we're forcing something to be our purpose when it's actually not?
Great question. If something starts to feel heavy, obligatory, or performance-based, it might not be your purpose, it might be your ego. Purpose feels meaningful, even when it's hard.
So purpose brings fulfillment, not necessarily comfort.
Exactly. There will be challenges, but there's a deep sense of alignment and peace that tells you you're on the right path.
That's powerful. Do you think purpose changes over time?
100%. Just like we evolve, our purpose evolves. What felt meaningful at 20 might not feel that way at 40. That's okay. We're not static beings.
So it's okay to outgrow a dream?
Yes. And not just okay, it's healthy. Letting go of an old purpose opens space for a new one to emerge. Clinging to outdated dreams out of fear is a form of self-abandonment.
I've never thought about it like that, but it resonates. So, would you say purpose is something we find or something we build?
I'd say it's both. You uncover parts of it through experience, and then you create it through action and reflection. It's a dance between discovery and intention.
That's such a poetic way to put it, like purpose is a relationship, not a destination.
Exactly. A living, breathing thing that grows with you. And sometimes it whispers instead of shouts. We just need to be quiet enough to hear it.
That line really hit me. Sometimes it whispers instead of shouts. I feel like most people are waiting for fireworks, but the truth is, it's often subtle.
Totally. Sometimes purpose feels like a gentle nudge rather than a big sign. We just have to get still enough to notice it.
But getting still in today's world is hard. We're constantly distracted phones, notifications, endless to-do lists. How do we even begin to create space for those whispers?
That's a real challenge. I think it starts with intentional moments, just 5 minutes of silence a day. No scrolling. No multitasking. Just being present with yourself.
I love that. Even 5 minutes can be powerful. It's like we don't need to change everything overnight, we just need to start showing up for ourselves consistently.
Exactly. And you'll be surprised how much clarity you gain just by being with your own thoughts without trying to fix or escape them.
What about journaling? Do you think that helps with discovering purpose?
Absolutely. Journaling is like a conversation with your soul. When you write without filters or judgment, you access layers of yourself you didn't know were there.
That's so true. Sometimes I go back and read old journal entries, and I'm like, what? I was already thinking about this years ago.
Yes, it's like the clues were always there, scattered throughout your life. We just don't notice them until we slow down and look.
It reminds me of Steve Jobs' quote about connecting the dots looking backward. In the moment, things feel random, but later, you realize they were pointing you somewhere all along.
I love that quote. And I think it's comforting too, knowing that even the detours and delays are part of the design.
Let's talk about fear. A lot of people might sense what their purpose is, but feel afraid to follow it. What would you say to someone facing that?
I'd say fear is a sign you're close to something meaningful. If it didn't matter, it wouldn't scare you. But also, you don't have to leap, you can take tiny steps toward it.
That's a great point. We often think purpose requires drastic changes, but maybe it just needs courage to take the next small step.
Exactly. If you want to be a writer, write one paragraph. If you want to teach, help one person. Purpose doesn't need a stage, it needs your willingness.
That's beautiful. Do you think we can have more than one purpose?
Oh, absolutely. We're multi-dimensional beings. You can be a parent, an artist, a mentor, and still have more layers. Purpose doesn't have to be singular, it can be a whole mosaic.
I love the idea of a purpose mosaic. It gives people permission to explore and evolve instead of feeling boxed into one path.
Yes, and especially in a world that keeps asking us to pick one identity, being multi-passionate can feel confusing. But it's actually a strength.
Let's dig into that multi-passionate people. There are so many who love 10 different things and feel like they're failing because they haven't picked just one.
Oh yes, I've been there. But the truth is, multi-passionate people are often bridges between disciplines. They see connections others don't. Their gift is in the blend.
So instead of choosing one thing, maybe their purpose is the intersection of many things.
Exactly. It's like being a creative alchemist. You don't have to choose, you get to combine, remix, and innovate.
That's such a freeing idea. I think someone listening right now probably just exhaled in relief.
I hope so. Because purpose should feel like a homecoming, not a prison. If you feel trapped by it, it's probably not your true path. It might be someone else's expectations.
That's gold. Expectations can be so heavy, especially from family, culture, or society. Sometimes we carry those voices in our heads for years.
Yes, and we mistake them for our own. One of the bravest things you can do is to separate your inner voice from the noise around you.
How do we even begin to do that?
Silence helps. So does asking yourself, if no one knew what I was doing, what would I still want to do? That question strips away performance and brings you closer to truth.
That's powerful. Because so much of what we chase is based on how it'll be perceived.
Yes, and chasing applause is exhausting. True purpose is rooted in service, in expression, in joy, not in external validation.
Let's talk about service. A lot of people think purpose has to be self-focused. What do I love? But sometimes purpose comes alive when we focus on helping others.
Completely. Often, what breaks your heart is also where your purpose lies. Serving others in that space brings both healing and meaning.
So maybe the real question isn't just, what do I want to do? But also, who do I want to help?
Yes, and what problem am I uniquely positioned to solve? Because your experiences, your struggles, your passions, they prepare you to be of service in a very specific way.
I love this. We're covering so much ground. From fear to identity to multi-passionate paths, it's like this episode is turning into a life guidebook.
That's the magic of deep conversations. You start somewhere simple and end up in places you didn't even expect.
It's wild how a single question can open so many doors. I feel like we could keep peeling back layers forever.
Let's do it. What layer do you want to peel back next?
Emotional intelligence sounds like a perfect next step. It's such a buzzword these days, but what does it really mean in the context of purpose?
Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is basically the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, while also being sensitive to the emotions of others. It's crucial for living your purpose, because so much of our decisions are emotionally driven.
That makes sense. If you don't recognize what you're feeling, how can you know what's truly calling you?
Exactly. Sometimes people confuse anxiety or fear with intuition, or vice versa. Emotional intelligence helps you distinguish between those feelings and respond wisely.
How do you develop emotional intelligence? Is it something people can learn, or is it innate?
It's definitely learnable, but it takes practice. Mindfulness is a big part, checking in with yourself regularly to notice your emotional state without judgment. Journaling helps too, like we talked about before.
What about empathy? Is that part of emotional intelligence?
Absolutely. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. When you're emotionally intelligent, you can connect deeply with others, which enriches your relationships and helps you find purpose in serving.
I think empathy is underrated, especially in leadership or teamwork. When you care about how others feel, you make better decisions.
Totally agree. And it's also healing. When we empathize with ourselves as much as we do with others, we create space for growth instead of self-judgment.
Self-judgment, there's a huge topic. It's amazing how harsh people can be on themselves. How does emotional intelligence help with that?
By cultivating self-awareness and self-compassion. Instead of beating yourself up for mistakes, you learn to see them as learning opportunities. That shifts your mindset from fear of failure to curiosity.
I love that. Curiosity over criticism. It makes me think of how kids learn they're naturally curious, but adults often lose that.
Exactly. Part of emotional intelligence is reconnecting with that childlike wonder and openness to experience.
What role does emotional intelligence play in healing past trauma?
It's huge. Trauma often disconnects people from their emotions because the feelings are too painful. Developing emotional intelligence helps them recognize and process those feelings safely, which is key for healing.
So it's like learning to sit with your emotions instead of pushing them away.
Yes, exactly. And when you can do that, you build resilience and move forward with more clarity and strength.
That's really inspiring. Do you think emotional intelligence affects how we express our authentic selves?
Definitely. When you're emotionally intelligent, you understand your true desires and fears better, so you can express yourself honestly rather than through masks or people pleasing.
Authenticity feels like such a hot topic lately. People crave real connection but struggle to be vulnerable.
Vulnerability is scary, but it's the gateway to deep connection. Emotional intelligence gives you the tools to be vulnerable in a way that feels safe and empowering.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So, emotional intelligence is really foundational not just for purpose, but for every part of life.
Absolutely. It's the secret ingredient that ties self-awareness, relationships, and purpose all together.
Since we're on relationships, how does emotional intelligence help in navigating relationships with purpose?
It's essential. Purposeful relationships thrive on clear communication, empathy, and understanding. Emotional intelligence allows partners or friends to navigate conflicts with respect and grow together.
I've seen so many relationships fall apart because of poor emotional communication.
Me too. But when people commit to emotional growth, their relationships become a source of support and inspiration rather than stress.
That's the kind of connection we all want, right? Relationships that help us become our best selves.
Exactly. Purposeful relationships fuel your journey instead of draining your energy.
Sophia, this conversation has been so enriching. I feel like we've unpacked layers that listeners can really sink their teeth into.
Same here, Jacob. These deep talks remind me why I love what I do.
Let's keep peeling these layers back next time. For now, I think we've given everyone plenty to reflect on.
Agreed. There's always more to explore, but this is a solid foundation for anyone seeking purpose through emotional intelligence and authentic living.
Perfect. I can't wait to dive deeper in our next episode. Absolutely, let's keep going. Another aspect I think connects strongly with purpose is the idea of mindset. How do you see mindset playing into discovering and living your purpose, Sophia?
Mindset is huge. It's basically the lens through which you view the world and yourself. If your mindset is fixed, you might feel stuck or limited. But with a growth mindset, you see challenges as opportunities to learn and expand.
That's so powerful. Can you give some examples of how a growth mindset can help in pursuing purpose?
Sure, imagine someone who's trying a new career path but faces setbacks. With a growth mindset, they won't see those setbacks as failure, but as feedback to adjust and improve. It keeps them moving forward instead of giving up.
So, mindset isn't just about thinking positively, but also about resilience and flexibility.
Exactly. It's about embracing uncertainty and being open to change, which are essential when you're searching for your purpose, because that path is rarely straightforward.
I love that idea, embracing uncertainty. It's something many people fear, but it's part of growth.
Totally. When you accept uncertainty, you free yourself from needing all the answers up front, which allows creativity and discovery to flourish.
Speaking of creativity, how do you think creativity ties into living a purposeful life?
Creativity is a way to express your unique gifts and solve problems in innovative ways. It's not just about art, it's about thinking outside the box in every aspect of life.
I never thought about creativity in everyday life like that. So it's about being resourceful and open-minded?
Yes, and it also means allowing yourself to play, experiment, and sometimes fail without judgment. That playfulness can lead to unexpected insights about what you're truly passionate about.
Playfulness is often forgotten in adulthood. How can listeners bring more play into their purpose journey?
Start by giving yourself permission to explore different interests without pressure to succeed immediately. Try new hobbies, meet new people, or just daydream without limits.
That sounds like a great way to reconnect with your inner child and spark new ideas.
Exactly. Purpose doesn't have to be serious all the time, it can be fun and joyful too.
So far, we've talked about emotional intelligence, mindset, creativity, and playfulness. What about community? How important is community in finding and living your purpose?
Community is vital. Humans are social beings, and having a supportive network helps us stay motivated, get feedback, and share our journey.
I find that when I'm around positive people who believe in me, I'm more willing to take risks and push boundaries.
Yes, and communities also provide accountability and inspiration. They remind us that we're not alone in our struggles or dreams.
How can someone find or build a community aligned with their purpose?
Look for groups, clubs, or online forums related to your interests. Attend workshops, volunteer, or start your own group. Connection happens when you put yourself out there consistently.
It can be intimidating to step out of your comfort zone like that.
Absolutely. But the growth happens right outside your comfort zone. Community helps ease the fear, because you have others walking alongside you.
Sophia, I love how all these pieces connect emotional intelligence, mindset, creativity, playfulness, community. They form a holistic approach to purpose.
That's the beauty of it. Purpose isn't a checklist, it's a living, evolving experience shaped by many factors.
Before we pause, do you have any practical tips for listeners ready to start or deepen their purpose journey today?
Definitely. Start small. Try journaling your values and interests. Practice mindfulness to connect with your emotions. Seek out new experiences. And reach out to people who inspire you.
Those are great starter steps that don't feel overwhelming.
Right. Purpose grows over time, so patience and curiosity are key.
Thank you so much, Sophia. This conversation has been incredibly enriching.
Thank you, Jacob. I'm excited for what the listeners will take away and how they'll apply it in their lives.
Let's pick up more next time and keep this important dialogue flowing. Perfect. Let's dive deeper. Sophia, you mentioned journaling as a practical step. How exactly can journaling help someone uncover their purpose?
Journaling is like having a conversation with yourself. It helps you clarify thoughts, uncover patterns, and connect with your inner desires. When you write regularly, you start noticing what excites you and what drains you.
That makes sense. Do you have any specific journaling prompts you recommend for listeners?
Yes, start with questions like, what activities make me lose track of time? What values do I want to live by? When do I feel most alive? These open-ended questions encourage self-reflection.
I like that. It's simple but powerful. How often should someone journal to see real progress?
Even just 5 minutes a day can create momentum. Consistency is more important than duration. It's about creating a habit to check in with yourself.
Many people struggle with consistency. What advice do you have to build a journaling habit?
Tie it to an existing routine, like journaling right after brushing your teeth or before bed. Also, keep your journal visible and accessible to remind yourself.
That's a smart tip. Speaking of routines, how do daily habits influence purpose and fulfillment?
Habits shape our identity over time. When your habits align with your values and goals, you feel more purposeful. Small actions repeated daily can lead to big changes.
Can you share an example of a habit that supports living with purpose?
Gratitude practice is one. Taking a moment each day to acknowledge what you appreciate shifts your focus to positivity and abundance, which fuels motivation.
Gratitude is powerful indeed. What about habits that might hinder our sense of purpose?
Procrastination and negative self-talk are big ones. They keep you stuck in fear and doubt. Becoming aware of these habits is the first step to changing them.
That awareness piece is key. How can someone become more aware of unhelpful habits?
Mindfulness is the best tool. When you pay attention to your thoughts and actions without judgment, you can catch habits as they happen and choose differently.
Mindfulness is sometimes seen as complicated. How can beginners get started easily?
Start with simple breath awareness for 1 minute a day. Just notice your inhale and exhale. It trains your brain to focus and creates space between stimulus and reaction.
I've heard that helps reduce stress too.
Absolutely. Stress often clouds clarity. Mindfulness helps clear the fog so you can tune into what truly matters.
Sophia, so journaling, gratitude, mindfulness, they seem like interconnected practices supporting purpose.
Yes, they complement each other. Journaling helps process, gratitude shifts mindset, and mindfulness increases awareness.
What about the role of failure in this journey? Many people fear failure when chasing purpose.
Failure is not the enemy, it's a teacher. Each failure gives valuable feedback that brings you closer to what works for you.
But emotionally, failure can be tough to handle.
It can be. That's why emotional resilience is essential. Practices like self-compassion and reframing help you bounce back.
Could you explain reframing a bit?
Reframing means changing how you interpret a situation. Instead of, I failed, you say, this attempt showed me what doesn't work. It shifts your mindset from defeat to learning.
That's such a helpful perspective. How can someone practice self-compassion during tough times?
Treat yourself like you would a good friend. Speak kindly to yourself. Acknowledge your feelings without judgment. And remind yourself that struggle is part of growth.
Sophia, before we continue, can you share a personal story where failure led you to a breakthrough?
Sure. Early in my career, I faced rejection after rejection. It was heartbreaking. But each no clarified what I didn't want and pushed me to improve skills I hadn't focused on. Eventually, that led to an opportunity that changed everything.
That's inspiring. It shows how persistence, paired with learning from failure, can lead to success.
Exactly. And it's important for listeners to remember that the path isn't linear.
Absolutely, nonlinear journeys require patience and self-trust.
Right. And community support again plays a role here. Sharing your setbacks with trusted people can lighten the load and provide perspective.
This ties back to what we said earlier about community being vital.
Yes, because purpose isn't just an internal journey, it's relational too.
Sophia, what role do you think passion plays in finding purpose?
Passion can be a compass that points you toward activities and causes that resonate deeply. But it's important to balance passion with practicality.
Some people feel pressure to find their one true passion. Is that realistic?
Not always. Many people have multiple passions that evolve. It's more about following curiosity and joy than finding a single, right, passion.
That's reassuring. How can listeners explore their passions without pressure?
Experiment with different hobbies or volunteer in new areas. Notice what sparks energy and excitement, and give yourself permission to shift focus over time.
That sounds like a liberating approach.
It is. Purpose grows through exploration, not forced certainty.
Sophia, this conversation has been packed with wisdom. Let's pause here and continue soon with more insights.
Looking forward to it, Jacob. Thanks for this deep dive.
Great, Sophia. Let's explore how mindset influences the pursuit of purpose. How important is having a growth mindset in this journey?
A growth mindset is crucial, Jacob. It's the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. This mindset encourages persistence despite challenges.
That makes sense. How can someone cultivate a growth mindset if they tend to be more fixed in their thinking?
Start by recognizing fixed mindset thoughts like, I can't do this, or I'm just not good at that. Then, challenge them with statements like, I'm learning, or I can improve with practice.
So it's about consciously shifting your inner dialogue.
Exactly. It also helps to view setbacks as opportunities to grow rather than proof of failure.
That aligns well with what we said earlier about reframing failure. What role does curiosity play alongside a growth mindset?
Curiosity fuels learning. When you're curious, you're more open to trying new things, asking questions, and seeking feedback, all essential for growth.
Many people say they're curious but get stuck in overthinking or fear. How do you suggest overcoming that?
Mindfulness helps again. Notice when fear or doubt arises, then gently refocus on what you want to learn or explore, instead of worst-case scenarios.
That's a useful technique. Shifting gears a bit, how does gratitude influence mindset and purpose?
Gratitude rewires your brain to notice what's working and what you have, instead of focusing on lack or failure. This positive perspective strengthens motivation and resilience.
Can you recommend a simple gratitude exercise for beginners?
Absolutely. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for, big or small. This practice builds a habit of positivity over time.
Now, many people feel overwhelmed when trying to find their purpose. What advice do you have for managing overwhelm?
Break the process into small, manageable steps. Focus on one question or habit at a time. Also, practice self-compassion and remind yourself that this is a journey, not a race.
That's very encouraging. What about when people feel stuck and unsure how to move forward?
Sometimes, taking a break or changing your environment helps. Also, talking to mentors or coaches can provide new perspectives and motivation.
What qualities should someone look for in a mentor?
A good mentor listens well, challenges you kindly, and has experience in areas you want to grow. They should support your authentic self, not push their own agenda.
That's a helpful guideline. Speaking of support, how do you balance seeking external advice with trusting your inner voice?
It's about filtering advice through your own values and feelings. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Your intuition is a vital compass.
Many listeners might wonder how to strengthen their intuition. Any tips?
Regular quiet time helps meditation, nature walks, or journaling. The more you tune in, the clearer your inner voice becomes.
Sophia, let's talk about obstacles. What are some common mental blocks that prevent people from living their purpose?
Fear of failure, fear of judgment, imposter syndrome, and perfectionism top the list. These create paralysis and self-doubt.
How can listeners start overcoming these mental blocks?
Awareness first recognize these thoughts when they arise. Then, challenge them with facts and self-compassion. Also, take small actions despite the fear to build confidence.
That takes courage. Do you recommend any particular mindset exercises for building that courage?
Visualization is powerful. Imagine yourself succeeding and feeling confident. Affirmations can also reprogram limiting beliefs.
Can you give us an example of an affirmation?
Sure, something like, I am capable of achieving my goals. Or, I embrace challenges as opportunities to grow.
Simple but impactful. Now, purpose can sometimes feel abstract. How can someone translate it into concrete daily actions?
Break your purpose into specific goals and habits. For example, if your purpose involves helping others, daily actions might include volunteering, learning skills, or connecting with your community.
That's practical advice. How important is flexibility in pursuing purpose?
Very important. Purpose can evolve as you grow. Being flexible allows you to adapt and discover new paths without losing your sense of meaning.
Sophia, this has been such an enriching conversation. We've covered mindset, habits, overcoming fear, and translating purpose into action. What final thought would you like to leave our listeners with today?
I'd say, be gentle with yourself, keep exploring, and trust that purpose unfolds over time. It's not about perfection, but progress.
Beautifully said. Thanks so much for sharing your wisdom, Sophia.
Thank you, Jacob. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, Sophia. Let's dig a little deeper into how daily routines impact mindset and purpose. What role do habits play in shaping our long-term success?
Habits are like the building blocks of success, Jacob. Small daily actions, repeated consistently, compound over time to create significant change.
So it's not just about big dramatic moves, but those tiny everyday steps.
Exactly. People often underestimate how powerful daily habits are. They set the tone for your mindset and reinforce your goals without you having to think about it consciously.
Can you share an example of a habit that can really transform someone's mindset?
One effective habit is journaling. Writing about your thoughts, progress, and gratitude can increase self-awareness and keep you aligned with your purpose.
Journaling sounds simple but powerful. What if someone isn't sure what to write?
They can start with prompts like, what did I learn today? What am I grateful for? Or, what steps did I take towards my goals? Over time, this becomes natural and insightful.
Great tips. How about morning routines? Do you think starting your day a certain way influences mindset?
Absolutely. A mindful morning routine that includes things like meditation, stretching, or reading positive material can set a calm and focused tone for the day.
And what about evening routines?
Evening routines help reflect and unwind. They might involve reviewing the day, planning tomorrow, or practicing gratitude. This can improve sleep quality and reduce anxiety.
That's something I struggle with, turning off my mind at night. Any advice?
Creating a tech-free wind downtime helps, as does deep breathing exercises or gentle yoga. Avoiding screens at least an hour before bed is key.
Interesting. Let's talk about motivation now. What keeps people motivated over the long haul, especially when pursuing a big purpose?
Motivation often comes from connecting deeply with why your purpose matters to you. Having clear reasons and visualizing the impact keeps the fire alive.
What if motivation dips? How do you reignite it?
Taking breaks, celebrating small wins, and reconnecting with your original why help. Sometimes, learning something new or getting inspired by others can boost motivation too.
Speaking of inspiration, who or what inspires you on your own journey?
I find inspiration in nature, books, and people who show resilience and kindness. Also, personal stories of growth motivate me to keep pushing.
That's beautiful. How can our listeners find their sources of inspiration?
Explore different things: art, music, podcasts, or spending time with mentors. Notice what sparks excitement or hope, and make that part of your routine.
Great advice, Sophia. Now, mindset isn't just about positivity, right? What about dealing with negative emotions like frustration or doubt?
Yes, mindset includes handling all emotions. A healthy mindset doesn't ignore negativity, but acknowledges and processes it constructively.
How can someone do that without getting stuck in negativity?
Techniques like mindfulness and cognitive reframing help. For example, instead of, I failed, think, I learned what doesn't work. This shifts perspective from defeat to growth.
That's powerful. How important is community in this whole process of mindset and purpose?
Community provides support, accountability, and perspective. Being around like-minded people encourages growth and reduces feelings of isolation.
For people who don't have a supportive community nearby, what do you suggest?
Online groups, forums, or local meetups can fill that gap. Even following inspiring content or joining virtual workshops connects you with others.
We're covering so many helpful strategies, Sophia. What about self-doubt? It's a huge barrier for many. How can listeners tackle it daily?
Self-doubt is natural but shouldn't control you. Challenge doubts with evidence of your strengths and past successes. Positive self-talk and surrounding yourself with encouragement are key.
That's relatable. Do you recommend journaling or affirmations for self-doubt?
Both. Writing about achievements reminds you of your capabilities. Affirmations reinforce confidence and gradually replace negative beliefs.
Sophia, this conversation has been incredibly rich. As we continue, what's one mindset shift you believe everyone should make to live a more fulfilled life?
I'd say shifting from, I must be perfect, to, I'm enough as I am, frees people to try, fail, learn, and enjoy the journey more fully.
What a freeing thought. That's a great message to keep in mind. Let's explore how embracing imperfection influences creativity and growth next. Absolutely, Sophia. Embracing imperfection can be a game changer, especially for creativity. When people stop fearing mistakes, they open themselves up to new ideas and experimentation.
Yes, that fear of failure often blocks creativity. When we accept that imperfection is part of growth, we give ourselves permission to take risks and innovate.
Do you have personal examples where embracing imperfection led to a breakthrough for you?
Definitely. Early in my career, I was obsessed with making everything perfect. But I realized that waiting for perfect delayed progress. Once I let go and just started creating, I found ideas flowed more freely and my work improved faster.
That resonates with me. So, in practical terms, how can listeners start embracing imperfection today?
Start by setting small goals that prioritize action over perfection. Celebrate progress instead of perfection. Also, try to reframe mistakes as valuable feedback rather than failures.
How can people handle criticism without it triggering their perfectionist fears?
It's important to separate your identity from your work. Criticism is about the work, not you as a person. Listen objectively, extract useful insights, and discard anything that's unhelpful.
That's a healthy mindset. Let's talk about creativity a bit more. How does mindset influence creative thinking?
Mindset shapes openness. A fixed mindset can limit creativity because it fears judgment or failure. A growth mindset encourages curiosity and exploration, which fuels creative ideas.
What about practical habits to boost creativity? Anything simple listeners can try?
Yes, daily habits like free writing, mind mapping, or taking walks can stimulate creative thinking. Also, changing your environment occasionally helps break routine thinking.
Interesting. How does rest or downtime fit into this creative process?
Rest is crucial. Creativity often sparks when the mind is relaxed and not forcing ideas. That's why breaks, good sleep, and leisure activities enhance creative problem solving.
So, balance between work and rest is key. What role does curiosity play in mindset and purpose?
Curiosity drives learning and growth. It keeps the mind active and open to new experiences, which is essential for evolving your purpose and expanding your mindset.
Can curiosity be cultivated intentionally?
Absolutely. Ask questions, seek new experiences, read widely, and surround yourself with diverse perspectives. Cultivating curiosity is like exercising a muscle, it gets stronger with use.
How can someone stay curious when life feels routine or monotonous?
Change small things daily, try a new hobby, learn a new skill, or explore different viewpoints. Even changing your route to work or how you do simple tasks can spark curiosity.
That's encouraging. Let's shift to mindset challenges. What are some common mental blocks people face on their purpose journey?
Common blocks include fear of failure, imposter syndrome, procrastination, and negative self-talk. These can stall progress and cause frustration.
How can listeners identify these blocks early?
Self-reflection is key. Notice patterns of avoidance, harsh self-criticism, or repeated doubts. Journaling feelings or talking with a trusted friend can also reveal hidden blocks.
Once identified, what strategies help overcome these blocks?
Techniques like setting realistic goals, breaking tasks into smaller steps, practicing mindfulness, and seeking professional help if needed are very effective.
Sophia, this is such an important conversation. Could you share a powerful mindset exercise or tool that listeners can practice regularly?
One effective exercise is the 5 whys. When faced with a challenge or negative thought, ask, why? 5 times to get to the root cause. This uncovers deeper beliefs and helps shift perspective.
That sounds insightful. Can you give an example of how it works?
Sure. Say you think, I can't succeed. Ask, why? You might answer, because I'm not good enough. Ask again, why? And keep going until you uncover the underlying belief, which might be fear of judgment. Then you can challenge and reframe that belief.
Powerful indeed. Before we dive further, what role does gratitude play in mindset and purpose?
Gratitude shifts focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, fostering positivity and motivation. It can improve emotional resilience and deepen satisfaction with life.
How can listeners cultivate gratitude daily?
Simple habits like writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day, or expressing thanks to others, can build a strong gratitude practice.
That's something I try to do myself. It really helps maintain perspective. Now, let's explore how mindset interacts with goal setting. Great. Sophia, goal setting is such a fundamental part of living with purpose. How does mindset influence the way we set and pursue our goals?
Mindset shapes whether we approach goals with confidence and persistence, or with doubt and fear. A growth mindset encourages seeing goals as challenges to learn from, while a fixed mindset might see setbacks as failures.
So it's really about how we interpret obstacles along the way.
Exactly. Viewing obstacles as temporary and solvable helps maintain motivation. If you believe your abilities can improve, you're more likely to keep pushing forward.
What about goal clarity? Does mindset affect how clearly we define our goals?
Yes, mindset impacts clarity. When you believe in your potential and purpose, you tend to set more meaningful, aligned goals. A positive mindset encourages you to visualize success, which sharpens your focus.
That makes sense. How do you recommend breaking down big goals to avoid overwhelm?
Break them into smaller, manageable steps. Celebrate each small win. It keeps momentum going and reduces anxiety about the big picture.
What if someone struggles with procrastination or perfectionism when working on their goals?
Procrastination often ties back to fear of failure or imperfection. The key is to start with imperfect action. Done is better than perfect. Also, setting deadlines and accountability partners can help.
Do you think mindset coaching or journaling can support goal achievement?
Definitely. Journaling helps track progress, reflect on setbacks, and reframe negative thoughts. Coaching can provide guidance, motivation, and new perspectives.
Let's talk about motivation itself. How can someone keep their motivation strong over long periods?
Motivation fluctuates, so it's important to build habits that don't rely solely on motivation. Consistency, routine, and reminding yourself of your why keep you going even when motivation dips.
Why you mentioned, how does one discover or clarify their true purpose?
Reflect on what brings you joy, what you're naturally good at, and what impact you want to make. Sometimes, asking others how they see your strengths can offer insight.
Can your purpose evolve over time, or is it usually fixed?
It definitely evolves. Life experiences, learning, and growth can shift your passions and purpose. Flexibility is important to stay aligned with your authentic self.
That's comforting to hear. Sometimes people fear changing their path means failure.
It's actually a sign of growth and self-awareness. Changing direction isn't failure, it's adapting and refining your journey.
Let's explore how mindset affects relationships while pursuing purpose. Any thoughts?
Relationships thrive when both parties support each other's growth. A mindset open to communication, empathy, and mutual encouragement strengthens bonds.
How can mindset challenges in relationships impact personal purpose?
If someone is closed off, overly critical, or unsupportive, it can drain your energy and confidence, making it harder to pursue your goals.
So, surrounding yourself with positive influences is crucial.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with people who uplift, challenge, and inspire you.
How about dealing with jealousy or competition from others as you grow?
Focus on your own path and progress. Comparison is often a mindset trap that distracts and discourages. Celebrate others' successes and learn from them.
That's wise advice. Now, what role does self-care play in maintaining a healthy mindset?
Self-care is foundational. It replenishes your mental and emotional energy, reduces stress, and keeps you balanced to face challenges effectively.
What self-care practices do you recommend?
It varies per person, but things like mindfulness meditation, exercise, quality sleep, creative outlets, and social connection are great places to start.
How can busy people prioritize self-care without feeling guilty?
Reframe self-care as essential, not indulgent. Even short breaks or small rituals can have big impacts. It's about consistency, not perfection.
Sophia, this conversation is so rich and helpful. Before we go deeper, do you want to share any mindset books or resources that have influenced you?
Yes, books like Mindset by Carol Dweck, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and Atomic Habits by James Clear have been game changers for me.
Excellent choices. We'll be sure to share those in the episode notes. Let's continue exploring how to build resilience through mindset.
Sure, Jacob. One of the most effective daily habits is starting your day with intention. That means setting clear goals or affirmations to guide your focus.
Like a morning mindset ritual.
Exactly. It could be as simple as writing down 3 things you want to accomplish, or repeating positive statements to yourself.
How long should someone spend on this morning routine?
Even 5 minutes can make a difference if done consistently. The key is consistency rather than duration.
What about journaling? You mentioned it earlier in resilience. Does it help daily mindset too?
Definitely. Journaling helps process emotions, clarify thoughts, and track progress. Many people find gratitude journaling especially powerful.
Gratitude journaling sounds simple but impactful. What's the science behind it?
Studies show that focusing on gratitude increases dopamine and serotonin, the brain's feel good chemicals. It boosts mood and overall well-being.
Are there any recommended journaling prompts?
Yes, prompts like, "What am I thankful for today?" or "What challenge did I overcome recently?" can spark reflection.
Besides journaling, what other habits support a positive mindset?
Meditation or mindfulness practice helps increase awareness and reduce stress. Also, regular physical exercise improves brain function and mood.
How important is sleep in maintaining a healthy mindset?
Sleep is fundamental. Lack of sleep impairs cognitive function and emotional regulation, making it harder to maintain a positive mindset.
So, mindset is holistic, it's mental, emotional, and physical.
Exactly. Neglecting one area can undermine the others.
What about digital habits? Social media can sometimes harm mindset, right?
Yes, social media can be a double-edged sword. It can inspire but also trigger comparison and negativity. Setting boundaries and curating your feed are crucial.
How can someone start setting healthy digital boundaries?
Start by scheduling specific times to check social media and unfollow accounts that cause stress or self-doubt.
What role does learning and curiosity play in daily mindset?
Lifelong learning keeps your brain active and mindset flexible. Reading, exploring new skills, or even watching educational content helps.
Can you recommend any mindset building books or resources?
Sure, Mindset by Carol Dweck is foundational. Also, The Power of No by Eckhart Tolle for mindfulness, and Grit by Angela Duckworth on perseverance.
That's a great list. How do you personally stay motivated to practice good mindset habits?
I remind myself of the benefits I've experienced and try to make the habits enjoyable, rather than a chore.
Enjoyment is key to sustainability.
Exactly. When mindset work feels like self-care instead of work, it sticks better.
This has been such a rich conversation, Sophia. Before we pause, what final daily mindset tip would you give our listeners?
Be kind to yourself every day. Progress isn't linear, and self-compassion fuels growth more than criticism ever will.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today.
Thank you, Jacob. It's been a pleasure.
Great, Sophia. Let's dive a bit deeper into the self-compassion you mentioned. How does one actually practice self-compassion in challenging moments?
That's a very important question, Jacob. Self-compassion starts with awareness, recognizing when you're being hard on yourself without judgment.
So it's about catching negative self-talk as it happens.
Exactly. Once you notice that harsh inner voice, you can consciously replace it with a kinder, more understanding message.
Like talking to yourself as you would to a close friend.
Yes. Imagine what you'd say to a friend going through the same situation, and say that to yourself.
Are there any specific exercises to build this habit?
One effective exercise is the self-compassion break. When you feel stressed or upset, pause and acknowledge your pain. Remind yourself that suffering is universal, and offer yourself kindness.
That sounds simple but powerful. How often should someone practice this?
As often as needed. It becomes easier with time, and helps rewire your brain towards greater emotional resilience.
Emotional resilience sounds like a theme that comes up often in mindset work.
It does because life always has ups and downs. Resilience is what helps you bounce back and keep moving forward.
Can resilience be developed intentionally?
Absolutely. Along with self-compassion, building strong social connections, and learning coping strategies all contribute to resilience.
Speaking of social connections, how do they influence mindset?
Humans are social creatures. Supportive relationships provide encouragement and perspective, which nourish a positive mindset.
What if someone feels isolated or struggles to build those connections?
That can be challenging, but small steps like joining clubs, online communities, or even volunteering can create new social opportunities.
Volunteering is a great suggestion. Giving back can shift perspective too.
Yes, it fosters gratitude and purpose, both important for a healthy mindset.
Purpose is another big word. How do people find purpose in their daily lives?
Purpose can be found in many places: work, hobbies, relationships, or causes you care about. It's about what makes you feel fulfilled and motivated.
Is there a way to discover one's purpose if it's unclear?
Reflection is key. Asking yourself questions like, what activities energize me? Or, what values do I want to live by? Helps uncover your purpose.
How important is aligning daily actions with that purpose?
Very important. Alignment creates a sense of meaning and satisfaction, which boosts mindset and overall happiness.
It sounds like mindset is deeply connected to living authentically.
Exactly. When your actions reflect your true self and values, mindset naturally improves.
This has been such an insightful discussion. Before we take a short break, any quick tips for listeners to immediately improve their mindset?
Yes, start by practicing gratitude today. Write down 3 things you appreciate, no matter how small.
Simple and effective. Thanks, Sophia. Let's pause here, and when we return, we'll explore more about mindset tools and daily practices.
Looking forward to it, Jacob.
Welcome back, everyone, as we continue our deep dive into mindset. Sophia, can you share some practical tools people can use daily to strengthen their mindset?
Of course, Jacob. One powerful tool is journaling. Writing down your thoughts helps clarify emotions and identify negative patterns to work on.
Journaling sounds like a great way to self-reflect. Should people write every day?
Ideally, yes. Even 5 minutes a day can make a big difference over time.
Are there particular prompts you recommend for mindset journaling?
Definitely. Prompts like, what am I grateful for today? Or, what challenges did I face and how did I respond? Encourage positive awareness and growth.
Those prompts seem very focused on awareness and gratitude.
Exactly. Gratitude shifts focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, which is key for mindset.
What about visualization? I've heard many people find it helpful.
Visualization is an excellent tool. It involves imagining yourself achieving your goals or embodying the mindset you want to cultivate.
So it's like mental rehearsal?
Yes, this mental practice helps create neural pathways in the brain that support success and confidence.
How often should someone practice visualization?
Daily practice, even just a few minutes, can be very effective.
That's manageable. What about affirmations? Are they part of the toolkit?
Affirmations are positive statements you repeat to yourself to build confidence and reframe negative thoughts.
Any examples for listeners?
Sure, something like, I am capable of overcoming challenges. Or, I deserve happiness and success.
I've always wondered, how do affirmations work if someone doesn't believe them at first?
That's normal. The goal is consistency. Over time, repeated affirmations can reprogram limiting beliefs.
Fascinating. Moving on, how important is physical health in shaping mindset?
Very important. Exercise, nutrition, and sleep all influence brain chemistry, which affects mood and cognitive function.
So a healthy body supports a healthy mind?
Exactly. For example, exercise releases endorphins that boost mood and reduce stress.
What simple habits can people incorporate to support this?
Daily movement, staying hydrated, balanced meals, and prioritizing 7-8 hours of sleep are foundational.
That sounds doable with some planning. How about mindfulness and meditation?
Mindfulness practices increase awareness and help manage stress by keeping you present.
Can mindfulness really change your mindset?
Yes. Studies show regular mindfulness practice can reduce negative thinking and improve emotional regulation.
For beginners, what's a good way to start meditating?
Start with short guided meditations, 5 to 10 minutes a day, and focus on your breath.
Breathwork seems simple but powerful.
It is. Breath anchors your mind when it wanders and calms the nervous system.
We're covering so many great tools. How do people stay motivated to keep practicing mindset habits?
Setting small, achievable goals and celebrating progress helps. Also, tracking your journey keeps motivation alive.
What role does community play in this?
Huge role. Surrounding yourself with supportive people fosters accountability and encouragement.
Do you recommend any specific types of communities?
Groups focused on personal growth, hobby clubs, or online forums can be great.
Thanks, Sophia. Before we pause again, any final thought on mindset tools?
Remember, mindset is a daily practice, not a one-time fix. Patience and kindness to yourself make all the difference.
Beautifully said. We'll continue exploring mindset strategies after this short break.
Can't wait.
Thanks so much, Sophia, for sharing such valuable insights on mindset tools and daily habits.
It's been a pleasure, Jacob. I hope our listeners feel inspired to take small steps toward a stronger mindset every day.
Absolutely. Remember, everyone, mindset growth is a journey. Be patient and consistent, and you'll see meaningful change.
And don't forget to be kind to yourself along the way. That's just as important as any technique.
Thanks again, Sophia, for joining me on the English Hour today. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this deep dive into mindset, please like, subscribe, and share so more people can benefit.
And leave your comments below about your mindset journey. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep growing and stay positive.
Bye everyone.
Bye.